Hello YouTube, this is Marxist-Leninist Plus. Today I'm going to be talking about what capitalism, socialism, and communism are. Okay, so capitalism is private ownership of the means of production, and transactions. So I'm just fiddling with a fucking light here. Transactions, well, like resources are allocated in a market fashion. So common misconception about capitalism is personal property, private property are not the same thing. In Marx's terminology, private property is private ownership of the means of production, and personal property is like things used for private consumption, like your phone, your tablet, car, house, things that are non-means of production. Okay. You also have a state which protects private property. State suppresses the working class. My eyes. State presses the working class. Because that's what a state is, a tool for suppression. Right. And it protects private property rights, of course, the state in a capitalist society, just as a feudal state would protect feudal rights, and a slave state protects slave rights, like slave master, slave, lord, peasant, exploiter, exploited. Anyway, okay, so that's what state does. And socialism, obviously, working class, bourgeoisie, and capitalist elements being suppressed, and any other kind of class that gets suppressed as well. So socialism is common slash democratic slash social ownership of the means of production, with resources, well, in the most successful socialist states, they were allocated via central planning. 70 years, that's how long the USSR lasted, It's no small feat. People live for like 81 years, so it's pretty good for a state. Anyway, gotta remember, it all started in 1800s, so 200 years ago. Capitalism started about 1850. Let's put an approximate, so capitalism started about 100 years before that. Anyway, right. So it's a common misconception. Well, markets are suppressed to a minimum, and this common misconception about socialism is everyone earns the same amount. Well, that's wrong. You earn wages based on quantity times quality. That's the formula. So for 1 hour labour time, and for a low skilled job, let's say you're shoveling coal from A to B, well, you would probably earn £1 because pretty low skilled job. Whereas if you were an architect, designing, I don't know, the underground or something like that, you probably earn a lot more because that's skilled labour. £20 an hour, let's say you earn. So it's not all the same. I mean, this is done obviously because you want to give people an incentive for further education and to further progress themselves in socialism. I mean, socialists are not stupid. I mean, we know things are based on economics and material reality, not on culture or tradition, as some liberals or writers might put it. Economics is the main thing. Run out battery there. Anyway, so we'll just speak about socialism. So, yeah, and so you have, well, yeah, I've explained some of it already, but so how society is usually organised for the dictatorship of the proletariat is along democratic lines. So Soviet democracy, which is modelled on direct democracy, is how you make sure the proletariat stay in power. So you have local Soviets, provincial Soviets, national Soviets, in the case of the USSR, supranational Soviets. And so every so often you've had the whole community come together, and they would discuss like what they want doing in their stuff, like vote on things, etc., etc. And then they would elect delegates to the local Soviets. So, I mean, ideally, if the society's technological advanced now, you could have the Soviets in session all the time, and everyone could always be making decisions. But that would require a lot of organisation and very advanced central planning. But yeah, so you pick delegates and they rule, or what you delegate rule to them while you do your stuff like at work and stuff like that. Then you have so you vote local, provincial, national, and supranational. So you vote for them. There's two types as well within that. So you've got direct and indirect. This is for Marxist-Leninist socialism. Ignore other socialisms because Marxist-Leninism, Maoism, and relevant extensions are the most successful. Yeah, it's a fact. Right. So you have direct Soviet democracy, so where you vote for delegates at every level. So the people down here vote for the local, the provincial, national and supranational. Then you have indirect, where people vote for delegates at the local level, and then the delegates go on to vote for the ones at higher levels. I mean, this is what the USSR had it indirect before the 30s, because they're having like a lot of wars, getting ready for World War II, civil wars, economic problems, stuff like that. So pretty hard to implement Soviet democracy on like the scale of the USSR when you've got all those freaking problems. Also, after 45, Stalin would have implemented it fully, and I'm not quite sure about this, but he probably did too. I mean, check out some of the Finnish Bolsheviks videos. He knows a lot more about this stuff. But I know quite a lot as well, but he seems to know more than me. But yeah. So after 1945, after World War II, I think probably implemented more fully. But then the revisionists took over after Stalin died in 1953, and well, revisionists never implemented it fully. Dabbled in market socialism a bit too much, and the embryo of capitalist elements, well, bourgeoisie, which still exists in socialism, well, suppressed bourgeoisie, slowly grows in size, running illegal factories, private property, etc., etc., and then you get the USSR collapsing, pretty much dismantled central planning to the 1970s, Khrushchev, starts with a K, Krun. Anyway, and then you got Gorbachev, and then the end of it. I don't think they planned to go out in the way they did, with like a kind of free market hellhole. I think they would have preferred to leave in kind of a social democracy way, but that didn't happen. Yeah, anyway. So, on to communism. Right. So communism is a moneyless, stateless classless society with social/democratic / common ownership of the means of production, with, well, I mean, resource allocation is probably planned, or however they want to do it, because, I mean, you have some kind of government, and I guess it's kind of like anarchism, and like, well, I mean, if you read off anarchist theory, it will probably sound like pure democracy, you know, something of the sort. That's how the government works. Yeah, everything is free because productivity is so high that it outmatches your ability to consume products. Or if you have, let's say you had communism 100 years ago, you would just ration them, what people wanted, and it would still be free, just rationed, in a less developed society that's reached communism somehow. Yeah, everyone works for free, if they still work, because of automation and shit like that. There's no need, well, free, there's no need for wages, of course. There's no advantage in selling stuff for profit or using money, because it's completely useless, because everything's free. Well, yeah, I mean, we could have this like pretty much today, but we don't. I mean, it's a shame really, but you know, such is life. Okay, poor conditions need to be met, but all other classes need to be eliminated, because class contradictions are what give rise to a state, and it must encompass at least the majority of the world to function properly. Yeah, so right. So that's pretty much it for capitalism, socialism, and communism. What they are. I mean, you have personal property in all of them. Just in socialism, communism, it says public and personal. Perhaps collective in socialism. Probably when having collective, it's where a few people, a couple of people like workers or capitalists, own property. That's collective property. Like collective farms. You know, group of workers own the farms. Ideally, you'd want them to be state-owned, but that didn't happen. You can read Problems of the USSR. I think Stalin talks about that. But yeah, anyway, that's the end of the video. Thank you very much. Subscribe. like, dislike, unsubscribe, bell on bell.